Good. All right, did we start?
There we go.
Okay, great. So good morning, everybody. My name is Tammy Westergaard, and I am so happy to be here with all of you at LibsWork. It's been quite a while. And for those of you who are kind of in on the beginning of this story that actually started 3 years ago, I was talking about what we called Project Sandy, which is an acronym, surprise, surprise, supporting and advancing Nevada's dislocated individuals. And this grant was awarded to the state of Nevada. It was a $13.8 million grant awarded to the state of Nevada in 2020. And I was a part of the team that architected it at the height of COVID. It was a competitive grant issued from the U.S. Department of Education Career Technical Education Office. And because of Nevada's Corona Burden Index at the time, we were the 5th highest in the nation. I remember telling this group before, everybody was obviously impacted by COVID. In my beloved home state, I have never seen the neon dark, and all the neon is dark in the state of Nevada. And so that just tells you, the impacts in terms of our major employer, the hospitality sector. We lost almost 500,000 jobs in May of 2020 alone. So we were very competitive for this particular grant. And Nevada's big idea was we had to meet the 3 main criteria of this grant. One, which was to upskill or reskill dislocated individuals because of COVID into non-degree training programs. That those non-degree training programs, they lead to credentials of value and can be attained in weeks, not years. It had to leverage technology, and it had to be what the U.S. Department of Education considered a novel solution. And so Nevada's idea was to leverage technology by advancing enhancements to a career information database, a SaaS service known as the Nevada Career Explorer, that was provided by a private vendor at the time, Headed To, which has now been acquired by PowerSchool. So on that CID, that SaaS CID, there are enhancements that I'll talk about that constituted the technology enhancements, as well as virtual reality career resources, and I'll talk about that too. And then the other way that we checked the box was that, of course, it was going to lead to non-degree credentials that could be attained in weeks, not years. And then the novelty was that it would be distributed through the network of our public libraries, and not just public libraries exclusively. I really should say the network of academic and school and public libraries, because as I'll explain in a little while, the resources that are accessible on top of the Nevada Career Explorer and also through the virtual reality headsets, it's all uniform. Everybody's using the same resources. And so when you have that kind of coordination, it really amplifies what you can accomplish. So that was the big idea. The state of Nevada was one of 8 states to be awarded this very competitive grant. There were over 600 folks on the notice of funding call back in it was the summer of 2020. Anyway, so then we began this work, and I was the state librarian at the time with the application and all that kind of stuff. And it was actually submitted through the Governor's Office of Workforce Innovation, because that was one of the requirements of the grant, that it had to go through the Workforce Board, the state agency that was home to the workforce boards. So we were notified that we were selected. And my understanding from the federal program officer is that it was the novelty of this distribution system, this distributed network of libraries that was one of the most compelling aspects of this grant to the funders. So that's awesome. And because we all know how effective libraries are as a network system. Libraries share things, we do things together better than anybody out there. So then I stepped down from my role as the state librarian, and I am the lead coordinator of all of the enhancements that go on top of whether it was the career information database, the virtual reality resources, some of the assessments that are also in the CID. I was the lead coordinator in all this work seeded from the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development, which I also think is important for all of us to talk about, because to my knowledge, I am the only professional librarian on staff within a statewide agency that is charged with economic development from the executive branch, from the highest level. And that sends a very powerful message about the role of libraries and why we matter to helping improve our state's economy. So what happened in the last 3 years? I was just saying earlier before the recording started, it's really only been kind of upon reflection as I look back and see, what trails were blazed, what kind of tools were actually created that are now accessible to Nevadans. What did it all boil down to? And as you can see in this infographic, it is, bottom line, this is increasing labor market literacy. And the process that has been identified is an individual career mapping process. And as you can see from that graphic, it starts with field trips that are in immersive virtual reality, or you can access these field trips from the Nevada Career Explorer as well and view them in desktop virtual reality. The collection of field trips, there's 35 different field trips that are all aligned to Nevada's priority sectors, which include healthcare, advanced manufacturing, IT, skilled trades, and logistics. I can guarantee you that those are priority sectors in your states as well. And then through the enhancements that are sitting on top of the Nevada Career Explorer, there are typical assessments like budget your life and, what's your, what kind of things do you like in your work life, and some of those things that are really very typical. But the one assessment that has proven to be especially helpful, and I'll explain that in a minute, is called the New Career Self-Assessment. And this was created by one of the project partners, a company called NC Lab. And the mathematician who brought this to the fore is from the University of Nevada, Reno. But what this assessment does is it gives an individual an opportunity to play what feels like a game, and I'll play a video here in a second, to play what feels like a game that's somewhere between Pac-Man and coding, in order to identify someone's current capacity, really kind of from thinking in zeros and ones. And so when you play this game, which can take about 2 hours, if you score at a certain level on the game, it really indicates that you have those computational thinking skills that would, would position you to do well in any one of these non-degree training courses that are a priority in this whole individual career mapping that are within Nevada's resilient sectors, because they're all STEM-based and they all require keen skills and abilities to, understand how to read information from a machine and make decisions and all of those kinds of things. So that new career self-assessment is very much a unique opportunity for Nevadans to take that assessment and then more precisely, map their careers and map where they're going. Some people don't even realize that they have those kind of computational thinking skills. It's never been explained to them in that way. They don't realize how valuable all of it is. And so a really competitive performance with using that new career self-assessment can be a real confidence booster too, and help people kind of think in ways that they may not have previously. And conversely, if you don't score as well there, it really provides a targeted way for individuals to know where they need to kind of level up. So I think one of the things that's most exciting about this beginning process of individual career mapping is that it increases labor market literacy. And we know that just like, regular or formal literacy in terms of language literacy, that we spend pretty much from the time we're born until around third grade or so learning to read in all of those very unique and minute pieces, beginning with when our parents are looking at us in our face and begin to talk to us. So language acquisition, all that. I don't need to tell you guys that, but just trying to get us to drill down to realize that is a big task from the time we're born until we're, 9 or so years old, where we've actually learned to read and we know the alphabet, we can put words together, we can read them and all of that. And then we know the saying, the rest of our lives we read to learn, which is all completely true. And just like that kind of literacy, if you think about the contemporary world that we live in, labor market literacy is so fluid because of automation and because of acceleration and technology, that the labor market literacy rates between an individual, which the federal government considers working age between 16 and 64, they're shockingly similar, because this perception that, it's AI, it's the robots, all of these things are taking over the world, and it's difficult to know where the human work is in the age of smart machines, as this group brought forward the Lumina Foundation in that great book. Man, I practically have it memorized. But it's all just so relevant. And so making sure that we are focused on increasing labor market literacy can keep someone engaged in the world of work and all the implications of that in a very profound way, not much different than knowing actually how to read. And if we don't know how to read and we're illiterate, we know what life looks like. You live in the shadows. And it can be argued that it's the same thing with labor market literacy. If we do not understand how to see the world of work and understand what the key skills and abilities are to actually to compete within the world of work, to continue to know where our own deficiencies are and where we need to level up, because it's lifelong learning. Technology is just forcing that all the time. We all have to realize that it's just always about staying current with what is necessary in terms of those KSAs. And that's one of the reasons that the virtual reality resources that we have included in this, which is important for me to point out that these are very, they're very specific to the state of Nevada, while the occupations themselves, and they're in demand all across the country and everything. Some of the visuals and some of the language, has been really identified to resonate with Nevadans, because for one thing, the age of automation and the world of virtual reality, virtual worlds, all that stuff, in a lot of ways, it's kind of scary. And not necessarily knowing what information you can trust and what makes sense. And, we could have conversations about the metaverse and all that other stuff. But at the same time, we live in two worlds at once. And so it's so important that we help Nevadans, understand the virtual world and take their place in it. And these field trips are built along pillars that are really very intentional. And that includes, they're all aligned with the ONET taxonomy. They all feature, the language within them talks about how this occupation helps to solve a problem of the world. We all want meaning in the world of work. We all want to know that we're making a difference, and no matter what kind of jobs we're doing, um, it helps to communicate why this particular job is important and how it contributes to solving a very profound world problem. And these are not identified as the 17 SDGs on their face, but that's exactly what they are aligned to. And then the other important pillar about this is that all these field trips feature not the far distant future technology that you're going to have to learn to stay up with this occupation, but the things that are happening right now. And they may not be ubiquitous, throughout everywhere in terms of these jobs, because the pace of adoption of different technology and all that, it isn't the same for every enterprise or whatever, but all of them showcase the emerging tech. I don't even want to call it emerging tech. They just showcase the automation that is there. So don't get too comfortable in doing it the old way. Let me give you an example. We have a number of field trips that are focused in the agriculture industry. And I don't know if you guys know, but the old-fashioned way of weighing livestock and having them herded over an actual scale to get their weight has been replaced by taking a picture with a smartphone. So there's an app for that. The same thing with dialysis. You guys have all heard me talk about dialysis over the years. And so here's a fun fact. Dialysis is evolving into a wearable kidney belt. And there are some instances in places across the country where people do not have to go to a dialysis clinic and sit in a chair and have that run for 4 hours. They actually wear a kidney on the outside of your body. So a technician would need to know how to help a patient with regard to a wearable kidney belt. So that's just those are a couple of examples of how these field trips sort of set the table and set the stage for the explorer to fully embrace the fact that it's all about lifelong learning. And so once you're literate about the labor market, then for a lifetime, you continue to use those labor market literacy skills to, understand the world you're in and continue to move around. Because the other piece about it is that when you have STEM skills, many of these skills transfer across industries, and people don't think about that either. And that certainly is one of the things that we've found in Nevada, is that the folks who were dislocated from the hospitality sector found their places in other fields that are in demand. Hospitality, you have to like people in certain types of jobs, and same thing with healthcare. You have to like people in certain types of healthcare jobs. And so we have use cases where people who were Uber drivers and dislocated during the pandemic are now in healthcare fields, CNAs or dialysis techs. But anyway, I'm going to stop there for just a second to see if anybody has any questions kind of about where I'm at right now. Okay, I'll keep going. So anyway, you can see that's on this infographic here. That's all basically what I was just talking about. And then part of this grant provided tuition that was available for individuals who, could identify precisely through their individual career map what they wanted to, what they wanted to do and what they wanted to pursue. So all of this too so talking about that distributed network through libraries, you can see right here that we call this a community of practice. And you can see the 5 yellow circles in this infographic, and you can read for yourself, who the actors are that are within those huge, big silos in a lot of ways. And the paywall for all of this, the main hub of it all is through the libraries, whether it's the public library and you begin the individual career mapping process, and then through the Nevada Career Explorer. Another part of the enhancement features include the navigation tools that connect all of these members of the community of practice as career navigators so that they can talk to each other. Nevada is a huge state. And so making referrals using technology is the only way that we can amplify and accelerate, our job to help people understand their key skills, to help people, become more labor market literate and map their careers. So what this is an incredibly efficient way of having the communication between, all of these members of the community of practice, efficiently be provided, because once an individual at the public library creates their individual career map and then they're ready to go into a training program, then the career navigator, the librarian career navigator, will hand it over through the system to the training provider that the individual has selected. And then once they get to the training provider, they may need wraparound services. So then the training provider is connected to the providers of various types of wraparound services. So you can see immediately it's just a really important referral network that yields data points. So we can understand where is the majority of the traffic coming from, who's referring to who. And when you have that kind of data, it helps you to see where you need to adjust or where the pressure points are and all kinds of those things. So then, this is just some, it's just some of what we know is why this is so much more efficient, because we can aggregate things together. And then when we're all using the same information resources and we're all working together, it is a force multiplier. It's that thing, that African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And it's hard to go together. It takes a lot of coordination. But anyway, this is just kind of an assessment of where all that is. And then these are some initial insights that just show by the numbers since February of just this year where we were in initial launch. So you can kind of see what that looks like. The beginning of this process 3 years ago, it was my job here in the Governor's Office of Economic Development to work with the vendors and build all these enhancements. And so that's a huge thing, like the virtual reality pieces, the enhancements to the Nevada Career Explorer and all that. So I kind of sometimes compare it to like building a house, and I was the general contractor to make sure that this big house got built, and the house was good enough to take for a test run as of February. And we've been working, really hard from February till right now to take the house for a test run. And then what we learned is, there's a punch list, right? So all the things, there's a punch list of things that need to get finished, and all of that will be wrapped up by the end of the year. But technically that grant concluded on September 30th. And what was born out of it is what I just described to you, a process called individual career mapping and all those tools that go with it. And so let me just play this. And
through constant communication, 4 site visits, Project Sandy's field work with this teacher has produced an incredible story.
Library resources, actually with confidence, provide it to the student.
Precision career mapping begins with a very
very
unique
similar
assessment.
to a game. It was like if you were going to think of like an arcade style, being able to mix code with that as well, I was able to link with it a lot better.
Okay, yeah.
I can be an educator that has no experience with this, and it's opening a resource for my students who are interested in something that I don't know about. Awesome about the NC Lab is the coaching component. They got his work scheduled, his hours. They set out a realistic plan for Ian to get it done, like so many hours per week. They set a goal, they conference every week.
Becca, she's quite amazing. They helped me so much. I definitely needed someone there as a guidance.
Having conversations with you and then having those conversations with the coaches through NC Lab.
Yeah.
Like I'm learning, hey, you're kind of good at these things.
Yeah.
Like,
I believe I could go into the future making VR educational games.
next year we want to be utilize VR headsets and get to see those at like a middle school age, and then by the time they're 18, if they're interested in a path like this,
Yeah.
they'd
They're
have
ready
some
to go.
exposure to different.
Stormy McCarthy, I'm the principal at Jackpot Combined School, and this is Ian Gallagher, our student here that we're trying to get the other students that are 18 and above to do the same thing that he's doing.
It has been actually amazing. I can't ask for anything else.
Oops. Okay, now I'll stop here again to see if anybody has any questions or comments or anything. Oh, good. I'm glad you like that video. I could drag you down. There's a video collection of 35 videos. And I'll show you, I'll take you back there so you could go look at the library and see it more if you wanted to. But when I say we've been out in the field, those of you who know me, I always have my camera and I'm always, these are all like low production level, but you know what? Hey, done is good. And there's no substitute for just like, showing how it's all working out there in the field. But anyway, okay, I'm going to stop here. How's everybody? Okay, you mentioned funding for, did you say, let me see. You mentioned funding for training for people who complete it. Yes. If that was, I can't read the whole rest of it.
Was that like, who funded that education? Was that like
right.
Department of Education or Department of Workforce?
No, that's a great question. Yes, with the first tranche of money, the $13.8 million, 5.3 was spent on building the ICM and all those tools and everything I said. And then the rest of it, 8 point, whatever that math is, was on tuition. So it was all on the tuition. But here's the thing. There's always money out there. I mean, what I've noticed is all the different population groups that we're working with, depending on where they're coming from, there's money. So the tuition dollars is not the secret sauce of this whole thing. It's the ICM and those tools, because there's always money, and money doesn't solve all the problems. If they don't understand the labor market, they don't know where they're going, they don't have the same kind of resolve when they have mapped it themselves. That creates a sense of agency and ownership in this decision-making process versus, hey, I know that this tuition is going to run out, so I guess I'll just sign up for this thing. What'd you call it again? Dialysis? And then they're like, but I hate blood. Well, that's the wrong job for you then. So yeah, but that's a good question. Let's see what else. Let me look up here. Okay. Everybody again. Hi, Lisa. Okay, so anybody else have any other questions? Oh yeah, thanks for putting that thing in the video. Or I mean, putting that link in the chat. You know what I'm gonna do? Okay, can I show you guys? I'm going to show you one more. Is that okay? Okay, yeah, let me show you one more here. Because this is really, your mind's gonna be blown here. Maybe. Okay.
This is Brandon Shattuck. I'm the administrator at Pershing General Hospital.
I'm Ted Van Duer. I'm the chairman of the board of trustees. One of the limiting factors within the economic development community is healthcare.
We tried to find some students who were interested in some of these careers that the Sandy Grant was going to help with.
When you get in here, you're going to see a patient. You're going to be in a room that simulates what a CNA would experience going into the clinical setting.
It's a lot different, and with the virtual reality, you were like in the hospital room.
Right.
It's easier.
LibsWork just became a third of our Winnemucca class, We are completely full. In LibsWork, I'm sure you guys have a need for CNAs.
At this time, we have 10 contract CNA positions, so we're using travelers to fill those. And that's a lot of dollars going out of the hospital that could be reinvested in the community.
Ideally, everyone lived in the community. That would be the perfect situation. And your program literally, just showed up and everything just kind of came together.
I work at the Persian General Hospital. I'm an auxiliary aide.
I work at the Persian General Hospital here in LibsWork. The program that we are doing, I think it's a great opportunity for any student that wants to have a step up towards their career.
Really exciting that we're getting the foundation in place to start to build these long-term career paths.
I want to start this, and then once I get my CNA, I plan on doing the radiology program up at Great Basin.
I'm very thankful for this opportunity and how everything is getting almost provided for us.
What made me interested about this CNA program is I have a grandma that has dementia since I was 12 years old, and I helped my grandpa take care of her.
There was a program in place where students in their junior and senior year would go through EMT courses, certified nursing assistant courses, certain computer courses, welding, things like that. And so that really helped our community because those folks were then coming out ready to work and staying local. And it wasn't that vacuum where they felt they had no other choice but to relocate. And
I feel like once we get to our goal, then it would encourage more people to go to whatever they want to a faster way.
You're not limited because where you live to be able to seek out certifications or training if we can continue this through our public libraries and our school libraries.
And the support from an entire caring community and Project Sandy, these students are on their way to a career.
So that is so profound because healthcare, it hamstrings all economic development. So there's a lot of industry that is coming to Northern Nevada outside of gaming and mining, but the mining industry is very much an important part of Nevada's economy. And that community in LibsWork, which is about 3 hours from where I'm standing right now, it has an 8-bed hospital, and you heard the administrators say they're paying travelers to fill CNA roles. That is so expensive. And one of the things that happened as a result of this, all 4 of those girls, they all passed the state board. 2 of them ended up going to Great Basin College, which is in Elko, which is about another 3 hours north of LibsWork, where that was. But one of the most significant things that has happened is that 8-bed hospital had initially been a clinical site for CNAs, but for a bunch of reasons, that it diminished. Okay, because these hospitals, rural healthcare is so hard. So these hospitals are doing the best they can. That no longer was a clinical site, but as a result of this whole project, it is now being reinstated by the State Board of Nursing as a clinical site because those young people actually had to go do their clinicals and they had to commute 45 minutes twice a week for 6 weeks. And that was super complicated to actually get them to the next neighboring town where they could do their clinical hours. I mean, the community, that librarian you saw, she was the school librarian. I was a part of it. We organized carpools and literally drove these young people to and from 45 minutes away, waited for them to do their hours, did other stuff, 8 hours later and brought them back. But what that did was it demonstrated, hey man, if you pull together as a community, we can figure this out. And it brought such poignant attention to the problem about, first of all, if you're lacking CNAs and you don't even offer a clinical opportunity to educate them, and you're not working with the high school and you're not working with the other employers, like this is kind of crazy. So, and in many ways, it's the virtual reality that helped bring this excitement to it because VR is novel, it's exciting, there's all the reasons, but whatever it takes, right? Because the bigger problems are getting solved. And that I just think is so you know, so powerful. And you heard the administrator too, talking about, you know, working with the CTE programs. In rural Nevada, many of the high schools might have 1 or 2 CTE programs, and that's like it. You know, there might be something in ag, or there might be something in healthcare sometimes, or not in this case. But bringing these, this opportunity, in the case of the first video I just showed you, that's what she was talking about. I can bring to my students something that I don't have any experience with, that I don't have any access to, and what he ended up going into a training program, and he's on his way in terms of data analytics. That's where it ended up taking him. You know, so it really is pretty exciting what's happened. And I think more than anything, it finally dawned on me, this is about labor market literacy. Oh my gosh, that's our wheelhouse. We're in the business of advancing literacy. So when you frame it in this way, that helps librarians sort of understand our role better, then there's just going to be no stopping it, you know? And so let me, okay, I'm going to go back to my screen again and just show you guys one more thing. Oops. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I'm just going to show you this. Okay, so this is also very cool and something you guys are for sure going to want to bookmark. So, okay, Project Sandy. This is going to get rebranded, and it's going to say individual career mapping and stuff. There will be, I don't know how many do this, but I'll figure out a way to kind of archive a little bit of this conversation, like the beginnings of individual career mapping started with this project or whatever. But for the most part, no one cares, right? Who cares about how it got started? But why I want to bring this to your guys' attention is this is our online training hub. And so, this is an unbelievable resource of instruction. Like, you know, these are all asynchronous. There's a whole library of asynchronous. That this is just the overview of Sandy and all that other stuff. How do you get going with the Nevada Career Explorer? So see, here's a whole boot camp training hub, and then what you'll see in here is these boot camps that we hosted and archived all of this stuff. So it's completely accessible. See, here's the whole thing about the computational thinking, what all that means. Here's all the stuff about the VR and why does it matter and how does it help and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's this training hub just goes on and on and on. The headsets, how to demo, you know, how to do the updates, all that kind of stuff. Again, here's the boot camp trainings that are all archived. This is a series of 6 weeks of boot camps, because this is what we did with that community of practice. You could see all of those individuals listed in there. So then people need to learn how to facilitate the individual career mapping process and how do you use these tools. So we boiled all that down into a 6-week, 1 hour a week for 6 weeks straight. This is how you can learn to use all these cool tools and do what you need to do. This is going to get reorganized a little bit, but we are the first in the world to catalog VR records into WorldCat. And so here's all of the simulations. Here's all the catalog records so that librarians can copy catalog them into their local catalogs. Here's what I was telling you about this library of 35 videos. So you can see from all these different perspectives, like it's the career exploration. So people that are just looking and trying to understand the world of work. This is about increasing labor market literacy. So that's what all of this looks like. And then you have success stories from students. So see, there's Ian, there's the CNAs, there's Natasha. I mean, here's adults that are in the same thing. This one right there, that's Skirma. He was the Uber driver who is now a dialysis technician. And then here's the librarian career navigators. This is all the stuff like from their perspective, like, why does this work? Why am I doing it? You know, all these things. And then here's also employers from the employer perspective. This whole thing is from the Nevada mining community. This is from the Advanced Manufacturing Association in the state of Nevada. Okay, this is that gentleman is a major employer in machining. And then same thing, here we are at the community colleges. Nevada has 4 community colleges, and here you're getting information from all 4 of from their perspective about what is this like to be embedded within the community college, and how does that all connect then with the public library and all that stuff. So and there's me down there. So definitely here, I'll put this in the chat too. This is a really valuable resource. My colleague Jahidi Rivera is the main person who's been responsible for building all of that out, and that is super valuable. Okay, now I'm done. Promises on 30 minutes, Westergaard.
No, I mean, I'm just fascinated, especially by the videos and everything else, because like, how many times are we so busy doing the work that we don't take the time to show the real stories, the real people, and that's what gets you the funding. That's what gets people on board. And you just have all of that. It's amazing.
That couldn't be truer. I'm telling you, that could not be truer, because everything that we're always doing, we think about it in our own language, in our own boxes that we have to check. And so we talk about it in that way. And, you know, the list group, we've presented, Andrea, Elizabeth, you know, Lisa, on just the language of workforce language. Remember, we did one of those conferences, I don't know, 4 years ago, 7 years ago, I don't even remember. I mean, we talked about that. People they speak in all these different languages. And when on that graphic where, you know, the community of practice and all that, the only way to cut through that noise is to do exactly what I did. Because I can get their attention. They'll have a meeting with me, but if I don't lead by showing them an example, hey, these are your customers, then they just listen politely, and it was a waste of my time because they're never gonna get involved. But it's different now. So yes, so library school should be teaching us all how to use iMovie, because that's how every single one of those things is made on my stupid phone. That's with awesome. iMovie. I've gotten really fast at it. Plus, some of you guys who've had to suffer me, I'm way better. I have a rule, like I will not make them, they cannot be more than 2 minutes, and most of them better be 90 seconds.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So that is what's going on. And oh, thanks, Chris. Yeah, you guys are doing awesome stuff in Wisconsin too, because you know we've all been out there in conference land and everything and stuff. And I was across from you guys at ALA this summer, and yeah, so it is exciting. It really is. Oh, the other thing I should let you know is tomorrow, this work is being heard by the state interim finance committee, because we are working with the attorney general's office. The state of Nevada has telecom settlement dollars that are earmarked to help do exactly this increased labor market literacy with an individual career map, although they didn't write it like that. Those are my words. But to do that specifically for minorities and women and other underserved groups. And so tomorrow we will go to IFC, and I fully expect that we will be awarded $1.5 million to continue with the focus. My job will be to focus on those particular priority groups. And the tools that I just told you about, the process of individual career mapping, the tools, they live in the field. I mean, we did that. So it's there for everybody to use. So it's kind of cool then that, okay, these tools are there. This is a process that's there. And then now I get to even focus even more on these particular groups that lines up with what this settlement money is all about. And we have submitted a 2-pager to IMLS for a leadership grant. So, you know, that was due, what, 3 weeks ago or something. And so we'll find out if we get invited to write back. But if we do get invited to write back, it will be a 4-state pilot. It'll be
Exciting.
Washington. Yeah, it'll be Washington, Oregon, California, and Nevada. And actually, there's other people that are calling Texas and Tennessee also. So we'll see how all that works. But yeah.
Great.
Can you guys believe it?
That's surprising, Tammy.
Oh, I am. I am. I know I'll just be repeating myself, but still, it's like the clouds parted. Tammy, you're a librarian in literacy, remember? Yeah, that's it, team.
That's excellent. I'm so proud of you. Great job.
Well, I mean, thank you. It has been, it's been amazing. And there's so many lessons learned about like what doesn't work, where's the friction. There are not even words to begin to say how I mean, it's me and 2 other people, and one of them is part-time. So this is so stupid. So, but I know now, I mean, there were 800 times in the last 3 years, I said to myself, who wrote this grant? And then I'm like, oh yeah, it was you. There's no way that this can be done. Like whoever, it's like, you know, when general contractors get mad at the architect and they're like, dude, you can't build this. That's what I was saying. Like, but it serves me right because I was all with the big ideas about, oh, but we could build this really beautiful building. We could have solar everywhere. And then, so anyway, yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop. It was super fun to be here, to be with you guys. It's so nice to see everybody.
Yep. Does anyone have any questions, comments, anything?
Awesome. I can't wait to dive in and read some details.
Yeah, do it. And then if you guys know how to get a hold of me, because you can just email me anytime. You guys can also text me. I'm one of those people, 775-230-4964. And just say, hey, it's me. I need an answer to this or that. I don't care.
I gotta run though. I got a physical therapy appointment in 20 minutes.
Hey.
I'm glad I caught this though.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really nice to see you guys. Happy holidays, because they're coming.
Yeah. So, you know, a couple things. One, thank you so much, Tammy, for being here, and we hope that you'll join us for other meetings in the future. Now that we got you the right calendar link. And thank you for making yourself available to anyone after this if they need anything. And Tammy is very responsive and will get back to you and inspire you personally if you reach out. I can say that from experience. So for our next month LibsWork meeting, we actually don't have anything on the schedule. And I was thinking that we would do it as more, I was trying to come up with something witty, but I'm not very creative, like LibsWork tapas or LibsWork buffet, where we would put in, you know, have a bunch of topics that we want to cover. We could come up with some questions or just, you know, we want to talk about these things and just see what everyone's working on and what questions you have and do more of like a round robin type style. Maybe even if it's too big of a group, we can do breakout sessions. So if you don't mind putting into the chat, Libs Lounge.
Oh,
so good.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. We haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah. So if you don't mind putting into the chat some topics that you would like to see covered, and I'll include them in the announcement email and just say, you know, these are some of the things we're going to touch on, and bring, you know, whatever you want to share, or questions or whatever. And then I'll just make sure that it's I'll also ask for feedback in that email to make sure that we're covering everything people want to talk about. The other thing is, I think that, yeah, and I got an email, I don't know if anybody else did, from Bendable.
Yeah, on Friday.
Yeah. So it
Super
sounds
low
like,
introductory offer, buy now.
yeah.
Okay, I'm curious.
Do you happen to
What's
forward
that
it?
all about? Yeah.
Yeah, because they're no longer under the, was it the Drucker Institute?
Correct.
Yeah, so they have their own organization set up now. I like that, cutting through misinformation crap to young workers.
It's been such a,
to
go to Tammy's point about earlier that you made about terms and terminology and stuff like that. Agencies tend to talk in terms of programs, but patrons, clients, customers, recipients tend to talk in terms of need. Like, this is my problem, this is my program, like, and
Yeah.
So just trying to close that communication gap, because listen, I know this is going up on YouTube and I don't care. There is somebody out there, just Google it, who charged $11 per person and supposedly had over 400 people register to cure your eyesight. You don't need glasses anymore. And they supposedly had 400 people sign up for this. What? There's, if you don't keep good information moving forward, it doesn't just sit there and you're not in a void. There's a bunch of crap that comes along and it drags everything back. Chris, yes, that it's like we're totally regressing to snake oil landscape out there. And it is so important, I think, to find a way to close that communication gap between the services, the programs, and the human beings that really care about what they're doing in workforce agencies, with people that are like, look, I just want to be able to keep a roof over my head, maybe get some health care, and do a few fun things and solve some problems in the world. And I think libraries are very well suited to that. It's like a communication information platform, but it's yeah, that's very heavy on my mind right now, I guess.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
couldn't agree more. And I think that's part of why virtual reality through the library is so important. And it's so important that we do the right thing by curating the right content and, and being very, very deliberate about it. And because it is so powerful, but it's scary. And how do you know what to trust? And at the same time, we all realize that if we don't keep pace with automation, we are going to live in the shadows. I mean, I don't think that there's anybody that doesn't really kind of every single day understand that more and more and more. So who do you trust, to go and to ask the question? So you are 100% right, Lisa. And VR is so powerful in the very best ways.
Yeah, and I would love to also talk about the topics related to digital literacy and the BEAD and Digital Equity Act and how that all fits in. Because I was actually realizing that because our focus has shifted more towards digital literacy, I feel like I need to pull the workforce development back and see how that all fits together. So I'd love to hear what other states are doing to kind of balance that or integrate the two. So that'll be mine that I'll throw in. So yeah, I think that we'll just kind of do a round robin and have conversation and bring, whatever it is that you want to talk about. And then I think moving forward, I don't know if I'm going to adjust the calendar, but I think we'll start to plan that the meetings will be an hour instead of an hour and a half. And we do see a drop off anyway after the hour. And I think that it also puts less pressure on our speakers if we say that they don't have, they fill up an hour rather than an hour and a half. So not that that would be a problem for you, Tammy, because I know that you held back. So I think, you know, just look for that change. And if you see that come, or, you know, just if we loosely know that things are going to end at 3, that'll be the plan moving forward. And to that end, I'm going to stop the recording now.